That's awesome.
Well. What do we have here? Welcome, friends, to Brian's Republic, home of the game overs. That's right. It's Halloween night, at least for me, here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I am filled with a lot of chocolate. But I think, aside from indulging myself in chocolate, tonight is going to be a bit of a different type of stream. I don't know if you guys are prepared. I have been in a spooky mood in the last couple days. I wonder if any of you have noticed the change on my social media and the change on Discord from my name, Brains Republic. But I don't think anyone really noticed except for Silver, Shareable Texas, the Midnight Streamer Floyd, and to the way to the dubs. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will be your host, the host with the most. How is that only 17 game overs? You have to add that 45 to 17. But that's not what's going to be scary tonight. No. I am not going to be playing any games right now. It's 71, not 17. Oh, I see. I know what you're talking about. Usually, this time of year, I start thinking about what scares me and why Halloween is so important to me as an individual. I really love Halloween. I love scary movies. And I wanted to talk about things that scare you. Like, really frighten you. Some things that frighten me are monsters and the things that go bump in the night. The things that you can't escape from, even when you're in the safety of your own bed. My dear friends, as you all know, my background is from the Philippines, and I am quite afraid of some of the things that still go bump in the night in the country there. It would be inappropriate to talk about what scares you, but I think we can, we don't have to talk exactly about what scares you. No way. Maybe you can just think about what scares you and what frightens you. Things that you can't explain. Now, I've been thinking about when I was younger, long ago. My parents would try to get me to sleep. They would tuck me in at night, in my bed. My brother beside me as we shared one as young children. And for some reason, they always placed us facing an open window. Blinds were not closed. The curtains were never closed. They were always drawn. And you could see the trees swaying in the night. The light of the moon peeking through. The clouds that would move. The animals that would stir. I'm so glad that this is something that people have been waiting for. But I've been wanting to do this for such a long time. It's something that I wanted to explore. Especially with Halloween here. I can tell you, the festivities that my children had enjoyed today, it brought me back to those nights. If we kept stirring in our beds, my parents would say, "Take a look outside of the window. Do you not see? Do you not see those red eyes staring back at you?" Of course, I never dared look out the window. No. I was too afraid to open my eyes and stare out that window when my parents said to take a look. Because they were adamant. "Do you not see the red eyes, Brian? Go to sleep now. Because I can see them. And those red eyes are looking at you, still awake." I didn't believe them. Until I took a gander one night as a young boy. I stared out into the darkness. And either it was my imagination, or it was something staring right back at me. You could feel the heat. I couldn't close my eyes. And I was staring right at them. "8 years old. And I told my parents I did see something out there. Because I've always been able to see things. Things out there in the darkness. I was born in the Philippines. My mother lived with my grandmother when she had me. And we were in a small town on one of the islands that had some of the most supernatural things. My dad worked in Saudi Arabia for a few years when I was growing up. And I wouldn't have known I had a dad until he showed up from time to time and took care of me, played with me, and shared sunsets looking over the garden in that rural town. One night, still by the light of lamps, there was only one real electric light, and that was in the kitchen. My dad and I were in the garden staring out during twilight. And he had me in his arms. I was about 4 or 5 years old. And he told me to take a look into the shadows. It was beautiful, orange. I remember it clearly. And he said, "What's that smoke do you see there?" He said. I did not know what it was. He says, "Look harder. Do you not see a man sitting in that tree, smoking his cigar?" I looked a lot closer. I focused my 4-year-old eyes into that tree. And you could see the cherry of a red dot of that cigar being inhaled on. Exhaled the smoke. It was a black figure, tall and lanky, enjoying his cigar, watching me and my father. And before my dad could calm me down, I jumped out of his arms. And I ran through the house that my grandfather built. I ran as fast as I could. The only light was that electric light bulb inside the kitchen. It felt like forever. The cold marble on my feet. I ran into my parents' room. Looking for my mother. She was not there. I ran out. Ran to the kitchen to find her and my grandmother sitting and having coffee. And to this day, I still remember that story. I still tell that story. And they say it's just my imagination. What was that black figure? we ended up moving to Canada a couple years later, and I asked my mom, what did I see that night? Because a 4-year-old shouldn't have these memories that just keep coming back. The exact same story being told. My mother said it was called a capre. It's described as a filthy giant who likes to smoke huge rolls of cigars and hide within and atop large trees. Mango trees, balete trees, old acacia trees. People consider him as a Filipino Bigfoot. But I was not told these stories of this capre. No, I described this monster. It's still stuck in my mind what I saw that night. There are stories that people are stuck in the woods, in the forests of the Philippines, the jungles. And if they keep walking around in circles, it's said that they're being played around with by the capre. To escape its control, you had to remove your shirt and wear it inside out. My mom and dad would always ask why my shirts were inside out when I woke up every morning. That is something that I can't forget. Another story about the capre. I told my aunt, and one of my mom's best friends, we call them Tita. And I told her this story, and she was like, oh yes, Brian, I agree with you. You did not, by any means, make that up, or was a figment of your imagination. Her mother had experienced capre as well. In the Philippines, at least in the rural parts, plumbing isn't actually inside the house. During that time, 1980, 1970, people were still using outhouses in the Philippines. They would have to pump water from the ground from well water. And one night, my aunt's mum, my Tita's mum, needed to use the washroom. She lit up a lamp. A butane lamp that could light only about 2 or 3 feet away from where you would stand. And she said she walked out of her house to the outhouse, carrying that lamp, needing to use the washroom. And she opened the door. Now, these outhouses have showers, stalls. Some families were a lot larger. And what she saw inside were 3 capre just hanging out. Smoking the cigars and talking about life, apparently. But she described it as if they were covered in black hair, like a shadow, with red eyes and their big cigars, sharp teeth, and 3 times the size of my aunt's mom. She froze and she stared at them. They stopped talking as they realized they were no longer in the comfort of their own company, and they all turned their heads to look at their newfound companion. One thing that my aunt's mother did right was she didn't say a word. She turned off her lantern, put that out. She closed the door of the outhouse, and she walked back into the main house as quickly as she could. She did not turn back. Whew. Even me just saying it. And she remembers that clear as day. People say that superstition is dead. When I was visiting my cousin in the Philippines for the first time in nearly 20 years, he said, "You may not have superstition in Canada, Brian, or even our cousins don't believe it in the States. But everything is real here in the Philippines." She does remember it fondly, no way. She remembers it as if it were yet like yesterday. So, in the West, dwarves and fairies are these cute little creatures. At least in the mainstream media. I want to tell you guys a story that my grandmother used to tell me. Back when she had her grandmother around, and she told me the stories that her grandmother told her. Oh man, just thinking about it has just given me freaking chills. Was it yesterday? Oh no. No way. This was like early 1900s Philippines. In the town where my grandmother's grandmother grew up, they would celebrate fiestas from the good harvests during the fall time. During that time, the women would dress up and try to be courted by the men in the village. But never did they have clothes that were fine enough for them. This is the fairy story that my grandmother told me. During the fall time, September, October, November, actually is a different type of weather. It is either tag-ulan, which is rainy season, and tag-araw, which is the sunny season. And during tag-ulan, during the rainy season, a fairy's cave would open up in the mountains, and these young women from that town would go to that cave and get the finest, most beautiful clothes. Now, how do you know what does a fairy look like? You know, people feel that, or has been described as with pointy ears, fair skin, fair hair. My grandmother's grandmother described fairies as having no bump where their lip would be. So this part right here. And they would be beautiful. And they would lend these girls, these women, beautiful dresses made out of fabrics that they've never seen before. Thank you, Midnight Streamer Floyd, for the bits. I really appreciate it, good sir. Thank you. But these fairies would only lend these clothes to these young women. And they would only lend them during fiesta season. Once the fiesta was done, they had to go back to the mountain and return their beautiful dresses so that they would be able to use them again for the next year. Now, what you borrow, you must return. Am I right? Well, some women decided they're not going to miss this dress. I am not going to return this dress to these fairies. Who do they think they are? Well, if they didn't return the dress back into the cave before sunrise, after the end of the fiesta, that cave would disappear. And those young Filipinas, who decided to keep the dress, who decided to cheat those fairies, disappeared as well. I don't think they died. No way. I believe the interpretation from my grandmother was, when the cave disappeared, those women, those girls who did not return the dresses in time, disappeared and faded away, never to be seen again. I believe this story in itself is a folk story about making sure that you return what was not yours if you had borrowed it. But for me, it scared the crap out of me. I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't believe what I heard. So that's the fairies that my grandmother told me about and talked to me about. Now the dwarfs, or gnomes, as some people may call them, they're called Nuno. So, back in the day, travelers wouldn't have a rest place to go to, and as they traveled, they need to use the washroom. So, they would step aside off of the road, go to a tree, and do their business. But before they would do that, they would say a kind of warding spell. They would say, Tabi po Nuno. Tabi po Nuno. Basically told them to move aside while they urinated on the tree. Other things, it's basically, it's like a goblin as well. Nuno. They're described as little people. There's different names for it throughout, but I know for sure that every time that my mom would, as a young boy, be forced to have me go pee on the side of the road or on a tree because we're nowhere near a washroom, she would say Tabi po Nuno. Tabi, Tabi, would mean move aside. And basically that is what would inhabit the forest. And you didn't want to pee on them, obviously. This is what my mom would always tell me. I think I did it once just recently on a road trip. We were too far away from a rest stop. I had to pee on the side of the road, and my mom would say, make sure you say tabi po nono and respect where you're peeing. Now, something close to the Nuno, or the little goblin, or dwarf, would be called a duende. D-W-E-N-D-E. Duende. Kind of like a garden gnome. These little buggers would curse people. They were also ones to have luck as well. I did some research on some of this stuff. I also have a little bit of a wiki page open as well. I try to let you guys know what I know from the top of my head, and I pull a couple of facts here as well. I did not know, and this is pretty scary, that before the pre-colonial Philippines, they were called Mangalo or Mangalo. If you read it in English, it was Mangalo, M-A-N-G-A-L-O, but if you say it in Tagalog, Mangalo, and were believed to cause the death of children by eating their bowels. I did not know this. I'm a little bit freaked out right now. But these duende live in houses and trees, underground, and in mounds and hills. But I must tell my truth, Classic Nile. Classic Nile. I always read it as Nail. I don't know why. My dyslexia. I'll tell you a story about duendes, also known as Nuno. There was a little girl. I was in California, actually. We were visiting my dad's cousins, and they had kids. Welcome back, Shareable Texas. Thanks for joining us again. So I guess they're my third cousins, something like that, or second cousin twice removed or something. But we were there in California, San Jose, hot night in the summertime. It was August. We were supposed to be in bed because the next day we were going to go to Disneyland. But as kids are, they can't sleep because there's new people to hang out with. And they started telling stories about duende. I was 8 years old, 9 years old, I think. So the story goes, there was a little girl in the Philippines. She was just visiting. And she was inside her grandparents' house in the Philippines. And she noticed a mound of dirt in the middle of their courtyard. So she decided to investigate, as all young girls do, curious of the world. And she started kicking the mound of dirt, poking it with a stick, pouring water into the hole. She thought it was an ant hill, and she did this in the States all the time when she was bored. I'm glad you like it, Shareable. And don't feel uncomfortable. Midnight, I'm here. But yes, she was disrespecting this mound of dirt in the courtyard. And she decided to stop messing with it for some reason. She walked away and minded her own business for the next few days until they flew back to San Francisco. So she's back in the States, and she became very, very ill. They brought her to a doctor several times. And from what I heard, during that time, the doctor came to them a few times as well, as their schedule allowed, and just couldn't figure out why she was feverish and bed-stricken. This was going on for nearly a month after she arrived from the Philippines, and the doctor was just saying and asking the parents, have you been back to the Philippines lately? He was at its wit's end. Why was this little girl ill? Well, of course, the parents said, well, yes, we arrived about a month back, but everything seemed fine until a couple of days. The doctor realized that they needed a priest because he had a feeling that something else may be causing this illness. So they called their priest, and he was a Filipino priest. He felt a dark aura around the little girl, and he feared that he knew exactly what it was. Man, just even thinking about it just gives me freaking chills. He asked the little girl, my dear, what is wrong with you? She did not answer. He said, my dear, are we the only ones in this room right now? The young girl said no. The priest asked her again, is anyone talking to you? She said yes. She told the priest that her new friends would talk to her, but their English wasn't the best. Now, she was born in the States, so she didn't speak too much Tagalog, as most Filipino families, like myself. We decided that English is the best way to kind of be part of this new country. And they were taught the same way. But she said to the priest, they keep wanting to tell me, they want me to take off my crujifio. The priest said, I see. I understand. He says, how many of your little friends are there? He asked her. She said 2. What color are they? She said black. The priest was sitting beside the window while she was in bed, and he asked, where are they now? She said, they're hanging above your head. On the curtain. She asked the priest, why and what is a crujifio? She never heard of the word before. Well, that was the crucifix that she was given. And as Philippines was colonized by Spain, some words have transferred over. Crucifix is one of them. She wore a little gold crucifix, gold chain, but she didn't know what a crujifio was. Shareable, I'll tell you about a ghost house in Canada. Let me finish this one, but I'll continue. So the priest said to the little girl, never take your necklace off. That is what is keeping you from being taken over by the duende. When she was kicking that mound and disrespecting the duende's home, they latched onto her and stayed with her until that priest could bless her to ward off those duende. Now, I don't know. Oh, man, I don't know what happened to them. But oh man, sorry, I'm telling you, she never took off that crucifix ever again. And these are my cousins telling me the story. Okay, this is, remember, we're in California, in San Jose. I'm being told this. And they were saying that little girl is my mom. as I grew up, here in Canada, I noticed a lot of weird things that would happen in my house. First place we lived in was in Mississauga, Ontario. And people thought I was a little weird, a little strange. We lived in a semi-detached house. You walked into the front door, you were in a little foyer. In front of you would be the kitchen, to the right of you would be the living room. As you walked into the living room and to the right and you walked down towards the end of the house, you would get into the dining room, the main dining room, and you'd walk into a narrow hall. To the right was a bathroom. The first door would be my parents' room. The door to its left was mine and my brother's room. And across from my brother and mine's room was my grandmother's room. So one night, my parents trying to get me to sleep, told me about the red eyes again and freaked me out. Closed my eyes so tight that I never wanted to open them, but another day I decided to open them, but I had to use the washroom. I sat out of bed. The room that we were in, that door, you would see my grandmother's door, and then you would see the bathroom door. As the bathroom door was open, and it was just a straight shot from where my bed was. You could see in that diagonal right into the bathroom, right where the mirror was. And from that mirror, you can see yourself kind of, well, not see yourself, but you can see the bathroom as you kind of walk towards it. But if you can imagine, if you were standing in front of that mirror, you would be able to see inside my room, my brother's room. So I got up and I walked out of the room, went to the washroom, washed my hands, washed my face. I believe it was summer. As I look up, I look into my room from the reflection at the angle. There was an old lady just standing in my room. I thought, why is my grandmother in my room? I remember it distinctly. She had white hair, a nightgown, short sleeves. The gown went up to about above her calf. She was just sitting there, just not sitting there, standing there inside my room. I blinked a couple of times. I turned around to look into the room and there was no one there. Very weird. That day, for a very long time, was the day I started covering mirrors. If I was in a room alone. I told my friends at school about it. I think I was probably at least grade 3. I didn't know that, Midnight. I don't know that superstition. But I looked back and they disappeared, whoever that was. I thought it was my grandmother, so I walked back into my room, noticed that my grandmother's door was closed, and there was no way, absolutely no way, that I did not hear that door close. I knocked on my grandmother's door and I asked her, "Were you awake in my room somehow?" And she said no. I told my mom and dad about it. They said it was just my imagination. But I tell you, man, I freaking tell you, that figure was real. 100% real. As I grew older and I had a room in the basement of that house, I had a large dresser, had my clothes in it, and it had a massive mirror. And let's just say there was always a blanket over that mirror. I also had a standing mirror, just to make sure that I can check myself before I leave for school. I would only check myself during the day. That mirror would be covered at nighttime. I tell you, I had the worst fear of mirrors, and sometimes to this day I still am freaked out when I looked at one. I want to tell you guys right now, almost everything that you've heard so far is my recollection and stories, people who have told me their stories, and the things that have happened to me, I can't explain. Whew. There are a lot of other scary Filipino monsters out there. I am glad that I almost everything. When I say almost everything, it means somehow, some way, my story changes in the way I tell it. Just a little bit, slightly. Give it a little bit of a flavor, but that old lady in my room that night, that was absolutely fantastic. The red eyes in my room when I was younger, the capre in the tree, those things are real to me. I can't freaking shake that out of my mind. And once a year I try to tell these stories just so that I can get them out of my mind, I guess. In 2008, flew back to the Philippines to visit. We went to my cousin's hometown where his father grew up. We chose to go during Holy Week. Holy Week is the week leading up to the crucifixion of Jesus. And in Pola, they have a festival that deals with the Roman guards in the story of the crucifixion of Jesus. And those Roman guards, they call them in Pola, they call them Morion. I'm sorry, unfortunately the religious talk has to come in here, because the superstition is during that week in Pola, actually in all rural places in the Philippines, they say is the most active. All of these monsters that I've told you, and then some other ones that I haven't spoken about yet, are the most active. My cousin tells me that they hide in plain sight. Houses that people suspect are haunted get more haunted, I guess. There are deaths that happen near rivers during this time. People get possessed. This is my cousin telling me this story. One thing that he told me while we were drinking at night, I'm gonna love these stories, was a monster called the Tik-Tik. Tik-Tik. Tick, tick, tick. So that's the sound. So he was saying that when his dad was being born, they would have a midwife deliver the baby in the house that it's being, and right before the woman is about to give birth, you could hear this around the house, flying around outside of the house. And I don't know if it's one of their uncles, because that's married into my aunt. The older brother or an uncle of his, to drive away the Tik-Tik, he had to use a whip, like kind of like a whip, but that whip was of a stingray's tail, and he had to stand outside and whip the stingray's tail out loud, make the noise to keep the Tik-Tik away. Now, what the Tik-Tik would do, this is from here. I'm going to read the description on Wikipedia after, but from what they described to me, it's kind of like a giant mosquito, human mosquito. And during that time when midwives would be delivering babies in homes still, infant mortality was a thing, right? And what they believed was that when the baby was being born, the Tik-Tik would fly around the house, outside of the house, and if it had a chance to get into it, he would extend his kind of nostril or suction or siphon or whatever into the woman's womb and suck out the baby and kill it. That was the description of what the Tik-Tik was. The one that's being said here in Wikipedia, Tik-Tik is a creature with a form of a bird-like human. Each region has its own description. It is similar to a wak-wak in the common Filipino term, Both are winged humans who at night search for victims. They hunger for flesh and blood, especially to those of fetuses. Apparently, Tik-Tik look like harpies, and both creatures are named after the sounds they create. Whew. According to stories, one cannot hear the Tik-Tik, Daswang, when they are very near. On the contrary, one will hear loud noises whenever they are far. Oh, Destination Truth, yes. Oh, yeah. But that is the Tik-Tik, my friends. Oh, man. But yes, I believe we are close to the witching hour. It is 11 p.m. Let's talk about some of the monsters that I haven't fully heard about, and people won't really go into explanation what they are. Aswang is another monster. They're shapeshifters. Actually, I know, before I read the wiki one, I'll tell you what was told by me. Told to me by my cousin, an Aswang or a Manananggal. They hide themselves as humans during the day, but at night they become creatures, killing people. That is what my cousins would tell me. Aswang can change from human to an animal form, like a big black bird with a long tongue, like the Tik-Tik, or a half-bodied monster, or a bat, a cat, a pig, or a black dog. Yeah, just something that you don't ever want to come along. On a dark path. Let's see if there's one that I actually know. If there's Diwata, I've heard before. Naga, our fish, our mermaids. I've never heard of that one fully. Multo are ghosts. A lot of Filipino stories usually deal with white ladies in the night. Oh, I've heard of a tikbalang before. Half human, half horse. It has a horse head, the body of a human, but with the feet of a horse. It travels at night to forcibly have intercourse with female mortals that give birth to more tikbalang. All right. I think that our little story time we'll have to end for a little second, a bit here, and maybe have a little quick chat. Howdy ho. Well, 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 what do we have here? How's it going, guys? Wah! I always do that. I apologize if you have your headphones on and I've just destroyed your eardrums. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Sometimes we want to talk about the supernatural. Actually, I do. I'm a very big believer in the supernatural things that happen in this world. Oh, I'm glad, thank you. I hope you guys liked today. I thought to myself, it's not every day that Halloween kind of lands on a stream day. And I thought maybe I could tell some stories about me, about the stories that I heard, things that I've collected in the past. The red eyes. My parents would choose to tell those stories to, you know, have the kids keep their eyes closed. I hear you, Midnight. I hear you. There's also there's things that we used to do with my younger brothers, and if they weren't sleeping, because I'd have to, you know, be in charge of making sure that they went to sleep, I would scratch the wall like that. Just freak them out a little bit. The Capre story with me and my dad in the garden of my grandparents' home in Mindoro. That is something that I can never forget. The dwarf story. That is absolutely something I can't forget when they told me. My cousins. The old lady in my room. I tell you, that's, yeah, crazy. We believe that that house, and even the house that I'm in right now, as I say it out loud, in my brother's room, is a little bit haunted. In this house, some weird things happen. Things get knocked off of walls, and you can hear footsteps and stuff like that. There was this one time when Rolo and I were dating, actually the year that I went to visit the Philippines for the first time in nearly 20 years. Rolo was in my room. Me and Rolo were in my room downstairs. Mrs. Republic and I were downstairs in my room. And my parents and my brothers weren't supposed to be back in Calgary till about 3 days later. So, you know, me taking advantage of the opportunity to have a house to myself and my girlfriend around. We were sleeping in my room. It was probably like maybe 11 a.m. or so, 10, 11 a.m. Saturday morning, I believe, something like that. And you could hear like distinct footsteps walking across and just doing stuff in the house. Okay. I told Roland, it's like, hey, do you hear that? She said, yeah. Mom and Dad aren't supposed to be home until like next week. let's just say I stayed in the room till around 1 p.m. Too afraid to check it out. But yeah, I don't know how true the stories are for my aunt's experience with the Capre. The Duende story, those I picked up. The fairy story from my grandmother, and the I think that's it. Most of the monsters that we kind of encountered. And if you ask any family, any Filipino family, someone has one way or another experienced something like that. But yeah, happy Halloween, guys. When I was in New York, the downstairs bathroom, I felt like there was something in that bathroom watching me. Oh yeah, some people feel those presences, man. I hear you. Tis not Halloween for you anymore. No, it isn't. That's why I kind of ended it there. I know it's still Halloween for me, and there's another thing. So the folks in the north or in the west coast. But yeah, I'm so glad that you guys could join me today. No, I told stories about stories that were told to me, and I've also told you about my experiences. Those are things that I can't explain. My brother Darian has those similar stories as well. My brother Daryl has those similar stories as well. And it's I tell you, it's something that I don't put past. We can't explain a lot of things in this world, and I choose to believe. I'm a true believer, I guess. The truth is out there, if you will. I think that's why I kind of like X-Files, The Grudge, all those scary movies. I don't like the gory movies. I like the supernatural type. But boy, it is one thing, I tell ya, to be able to do this today was quite... I gave myself some chills, I tell ya. Long ago, probably about 2000, when is that, 2005? A friend of mine on the internet, we were clanmates, she was telling us a story about oh man, I really have to figure out what it is, but it's something like, hey Sailor Venus, how's it going? Welcome back to the stream. Oh, you missed all my ghost stories with my mask. My alter ego, Don Briote. I mean Don Buzzhote. All good, Sailor Venus, all good. We had like a captive audience there for a little while. I was talking about my ghost stories and experiences from the Philippines. The good thing there is that it's actually a VOD now, so you guys can totally, if you guys want to freak yourself out a little bit, you can watch it once the stream ends. Right? Isn't this such an awesome mask? I tried to make it as scary as possible. I enjoyed it. But yeah, a friend of mine was telling me a story about some somewhere like Salem or something like that, where no, these are not, these are all royalty free music, so I'm able to use them. And if it does get muted, then sorry about that, guys. No, these are all my YouTube library, where I'm allowed to make videos and have them used without getting copyright. Oh no, I didn't do any horror games today, Venus. I just spent the last hour and a half telling scary stories, true stories, not for the faint of heart. But yeah, it's really fun for me to kind of let these stories out, because, you know, it gives me a chance to even document for myself these stories. I want to tell my kids these stories one day and freak the crap out of them. Oh, that would be so good. But yeah, I know it was fun today. I enjoyed it. Ooh, classic. Niall is gonna be 30 years old in a couple of days. It's gonna be sweet. Advanced happy birthday to you, classic Niall. Before I won't be streaming during that time, so hopefully you party it up and live it up on the last few days that you have as a 20-something. You'll be a 30-year-old then. The big 3-0. That's scary, I tell ya. I wouldn't want him to. It's okay. Will do. Woo-woo. How's it going, Triple Death Star? What's going on? I don't know how long you've been there, but I was just telling ghost stories and Filipino mythical stories this last hour and a half. Oh, you know what I should tell you guys about this one place here in Calgary. Oh yeah. Here, hold on, let me find. All right, here we go. So, in Calgary, 3DS, Triple Death Star, what's going on? Calgary has plenty of ghost stories, and one of them is the Devil's Playground. And when I first arrived here in Calgary, I used to work for FedEx Ground, and my boys at FedEx Ground, whenever we would finish a shift, we would find time to hang out and eat some dinner afterwards. Like, it would be around midnight, 1 o'clock or so when we'd finish our shift. And one night we went to Denny's and we started talking about ghost stories, right? And the really fun thing about ghost stories are everyone has a different take on how to tell them, and each of us were taking turns telling our ghost stories. And one of the things in Calgary is this place called the Devil's Playground, and it is a story that at the turn of the 20th century, so in the early 1900s, a schoolhouse on the edge of Calgary burned down, killing the children inside. The spirits of those kids are still here doing all sorts of creepy, haunting things, and there are rumors that the first attempt to destroy the school demolish it resulted in almost all of the workers getting sick and equipment breaking down. This is on a actually an article I'm reading this off of. You guys want to take a look at that? But apparently there's a short that they're trying to do to try and find the real story of the Devil's Playground. And I tell you, it is something. See, the thing about stories is that someone tells it differently every time. And this one that I've read to you isn't what my friend told me. So, in the Devil's Playground, since there was a school there, there was also a well there. Okay. So, apparently, there was a tree outside of that school, and during that time, they would hang people to punish them in trees, I guess. And unfortunately, someone was hung outside of that school, and apparently there was a well that's still there today. And if you go there at the stroke of midnight, any night of the week, stroke of midnight, and you looked into that well, this well is dry, mind you, he said, you looked into that well, the reflection of that well, you would see the hanging body in the water of the well. Every time I hear it, every time I kind of recollect the story, it scares the bejesus out of me that this place exists. Dog named Lassie? Old Yeller? There's another story that I was being told. So that night that we were telling ghost stories in that Denny's after work, my friends of mine, two of them were Vietnamese, one was from Hong Kong, Chinese, and my friend John was telling us a story about how when someone dies in Vietnam, they would bring them home and basically have their wake, right? Have a wake in the house, okay? And what they would do is they would put baby powder around the body where they have it. So I guess it was probably in a common room, like a kitchen or a dining room or something like that, or a living room, and the body would be there, and they would put baby powder around the dead body, or I guess the cadaver or the corpse. And during the time that the body was there, they just wanted to make sure that, I guess it was dead, right? The person was dead. So one time, one of those deaths, I guess, recollected by John's mom, I think her father or her brother died or something like that. I think it was her father, for sure, father. And I'm like, my legs are just like shaking back and forth, just trying to remember the story. And one night, oh man, so they put that baby powder around the corpse, right? Only to see where that corpse would visit, or who he would visit overnight. And his mom was in her room, and in the morning they found footsteps that led from where the corpse was to her room. And the soles of the feet of the dead person was covered in baby powder. Oh my god, it's so creepy. Just even thinking about it, it's just... When we were telling these stories that we finished our shift at like 11:30, 12 o'clock, we basically waited till sunrise before we left at Denny's. We were there telling stories for almost 5 hours. I don't know why you would want that to, why would you want that to happen, to see who they visit. That one could be maybe someone playing a sick joke. Well, the thing is that apparently it's good luck that the corpse visits you, or the affiliation to it. Oh my god, I have a weird knot in my stomach now, even just thinking about it. Ooh, yeah. So yeah, that's one of the more weirder stories I've heard. My cousins in Ontario, they would talk about portals and third eyes, and I never believed them about that stuff because never really wasn't fully rooted in any sort of truths. But those types of things that happen, makes you want to take some time to kind of reevaluate. You don't believe in portals? They're good games. Well, no, they were trying to freak me out as a kid, that's for sure. You know, we lived in Montreal for 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that. And nothing weird happened in Montreal, ever. Like, I can't even think of anything remotely scary happening there. Here in this house, there's a video that my brother took in this house here in Calgary. He was doing a cover of some song or whatever back in 2009, 2010, something like that. And as he was finishing off the cover, the camera caught what you would say is a orb. Two light orbs. Here it is. Let me it's 9 years ago. So 2009. Okay. Copy. Here's some fun for you guys if you guys wanna be freaked out a little bit. So my brother's records this video. Of him playing the guitar. This is Francis on his YouTube channel. And I don't remember when. I think it's at the end of... I'm gonna watch it right now. But it's a very distinct light orb. I don't know if it's at the beginning or the end. It's not at the end. I'll watch it at the beginning. But he swears he... I think I can. Hold on. Let's see if I can... Yeah, let's go look at it. Hold on, let me see if I can do add a video capture. No. Video capture? No. Media source? No. That has to be a... It'll have to be a display capture. All right, here he is playing the guitar. Okay. So apparently it passes behind him in the foreground. Or was it through him? Where is it? Halfway through. song is called Joe. I wanna know. Hold on. I'll tell you once I see it. If I have to go grab him, I will. It's basically a light orb, kind of like a distortion, like a dust speck that moves across. Oh, there it is. There we go. Oh my god, I just got fucking chills. Holy fuck. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay. Watch this. The orb passes out from behind it. There, right there. Goes around and then flies behind him. You see that? Oh, that's already passed. Fuck it. Okay. You see that? So, right here. Holy crap. Holy fuck. You see that? Do you see that? This is my this is in my basement. Where that clock is where my old stream place is. You can see where my projection screen that I purchased before. Look at this. Look. Tell me that that's something fucking ridiculous. I don't swear in the stream. I don't swear a lot at all. There you go. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. Moves back and then goes back behind him. Look at that. What is that ridiculousness? It's not like a dust that goes down. Right here. Watch. He shows me this like every time he gets a chance to be like whenever we're talking about these ghost things. This is right here. No, did I pass it? Maybe it was a mosquito. It may have been a mosquito, my friend. That is for sure. But it's my favorite. It's my favorite. Is it 136? Oh, 144. So 142. So it flies out 43. Does a little loop. Goes back forward and then flies behind into the wall. Yeah, isn't that fun? It's 5:40 in the morning. But yeah. If you guys want to take a look at it, go ahead. He only has 13,000 views. Why do you wear your hat like an idiot 6 years ago? Very fun. Because he was a teenager, silly person. But yeah. So guys, happy Halloween. I think this is where I'm gonna end my stream tonight, guys. thank you so much for stopping by. It's nice to see we have similar recommended videos. Oh, yeah, pretty much. But that is my stream, my Halloween stream. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know in the Discord. I hope you guys enjoyed it at least. If you missed some of the stories, hopefully my VOD isn't copyright striked, but I don't think it is because I used all of my royalty free music on that one. Good morning to you, Classic Nile. Hopefully you had a good time. Triple Death Star, yes, we are here out summoning ghosts. Thank you so much for being part of the stream today again. Hopefully you enjoyed today. Didn't you play the Halloween theme? No, that was not the Halloween theme. All of those themes were from the YouTube creators free music download that you can put on your songs or on your videos without getting copyright strike. So I shouldn't have a copyright strike. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. I do appreciate that you guys took the time to take a look at the stream today. It was a little bit of a different stream. I hope to do more of these type of different streams, just to chat, tell stories, and all that fun stuff. So they can sound similar, yeah, absolutely. Maybe even the same key. You never know, but with different notes played, different melody. I know for sure that wasn't there. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, and yeah, hopefully we get to do this again on another spooky night, maybe a Friday the 13th somewhere. But yeah, let's do our closes, and yeah, thank you so much for stopping by, guys. If you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that follow button. If you want to support the channel, hit that subscribe button. The best way to support, though, is always hanging out and chatting with us in chat, like Classic Nile, No Way, Triple Death Star, Venus, Midnight, Chernobyl, Texas, and oh, too bad Renegade wasn't here. I'm sure that he would have liked the stream. But yeah, hopefully we can hang out again. We're gonna close this thing down. If you want, take a look in the description down below for all of my social medias, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can watch or hang out with me there when I'm not streaming. The question is, when do I stream? Well, I stream every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of every week at 9:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for about a couple of hours, weather, work, and family permitting. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for Halloween. I hope you guys had a wonderful one, a safe one, a fun one. I am absolutely thankful that you can that I can be part of your evening. Hopefully you guys have a great night, a great day wherever you guys are in the world. Again, my name is Brian. This has been another episode of Brian's Republic, home of the game overs. Thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you guys on the next one. Take it easy. Cheers.